We still got to do the wiring here, tail lights, and now we're going to do the headlight. This is what the Club Car Precedent comes with, just that little bumper. We're going to remove that bumper and we're going to put in this new one, combination light and bumper. This is an LED light. Bumper replaces that. Now, that bumper right there is held on by two long carriage bolts with 10mm heads on them, and the nut on the bottom of them is 13mm. These are the tools I got out for that because I got a ratchet, a 10mm and 13mm end wrench, a 10mm short socket, and a 13mm deep socket. That's what I'm going to need. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, that front bolt you see closest to the plastic is the 13 nut hanging down. That's why I need it deep. Okay? Let me show you here. This is how this thing mounts. There it is. So that big long carriage bolt goes through there. You'll see when it mounts like that. So once I get the old one off, I'll force these two brackets over the tubing of the frame, drop those two bolts back in there and tighten them up. Now on the back of here, this is the wiring harness. Remember the part we stuffed through the hole in the dash? You'll see it in a while. It's dangling underneath here. We're going to attach it to this. That'll give us our headlights. Now, usually, yeah, there they are. See these two wires here, black and orange, Halloween hanging? Those are for a horn, which is not part of this kit. So all we're going to do is hook this connector up when we get done, and these two wires will not be hooked up yet. Just like the wires underneath the floor is not hooked up yet, or the ones underneath the dash, until later if we decide to put turn signals, brake lights, and a horn kit on this. So let me get down here on the floor and remove this bumper and show you what it... Okay, I'm underneath here. These are what those two long bolts look like. I just 10mm head, 13mm nut. I use the 10mm end wrench and the 13mm deep socket. So this thing now should just pull off. Yes, it did. Here's the back of it. See those two things there? They fit inside these aluminum tubes, and there's the holes that the bolts drop through, see? So, this is what it looks like when it's off. And while I'm under there, there's that wire connector we shoved through. It's kind of dark in here, but you can see it coming through. That's the hole in the dash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck it up. Oh gosh. We're going to run it up here. Okay, I got it up there. See how now it's coming through the hole in the dash, up and over the shock tower, and now it's hanging down here where we're going to plug it in after I get this light assembly put on there. So remember, I'm going to take, geez, I can't do this one here. I'm going to force those two brackets on the outside of this tube. Once I get it in line, I'll drop those bolts in, tighten them up, and once I tighten them up, we'll hook the harness up. Okay, just got the light on. That's what it looks like. Bumper on the bottom, LED headlight. I forgot to take the wrapping off of this. Comes with a wrapping. Now look at this sucker. Nice and pretty. I hooked the harness up, so the front end is done. The console part is done. Still gotta wire the relay, snake these whips through to the back. So now I'm going to show you how to cut holes in the rear. Okay, grab a taillight. You can see that this is the passenger side. You can tell by, see how that will sit. Back up. That will sit on there. Now you want to leave about a ½ inch between from the edge to where you're going to put the light. Okay? So what you want to do, we're going to put a mark on the body. You see where the wires are coming through that plastic and the plastic's protruding? I'm going to hold this up here and I'm going to mark that area on the body because that has to be recessed for the so it'll lay flat. So let me turn this off and mark it and I'll be right back. Okay, I just marked these. Let me see, you can barely see it, but you see that. Go to the other side. Yeah, I gotta clean this phone. There's the other one. Remember what I did? I held this tail light up the back. See where the wires are coming out and that plastic protrudes? I held it up here like this, and where it protruded, I left a ½ inch gap on the side, and I marked it. So now I'm going to take a 1-inch hole saw, electrician's 1-inch hole saw, you know, ex-electrical contractor, and I'm going to buzz a hole through there, and I'm going to buzz a hole through there. Okay, I just drilled the 1-inch holes, one right there, one right there. Now I'm going to fisher wire from the back here through underneath the fender and come out in here so I can hook this whip to it and pull it through. Now I usually use a piece of number 12 solid, but being the cool dude that I am, we have some sealing wires left over from our construction days, which are really cool. So I'm going to poke that through there. Hey, look at Mr. Cool. Whoa, careful, battery terminal. Okay, it's sticking through there, sticking through here. So what I'm going to do is hook this wire, pull it through. I'm going to do that on both sides. Got my wires fished through. At the other end. Comes through, I laid it in there, poked it down in there to hold it. Sticking out here. Now we're going to plug it in like this. We're going to plug that into the harness on the light. But before you do that, you see this red tape on the back of here? You got to pull that off, and that reveals the sticky two-sided tape. So you got to do that first. But before you do that, I hook it up like this, the connector. Then I shove it in there and make sure it lays flat before I pull that stuff off. Because if you pull it off and it doesn't, the hole's got to be moved or something. It's just a pain in the ass. So I'm going to hook this one up. See if it fits. Okay, there they are. There they are. I got them on there, pulled the self-adhesive crap off, put them on there. They come with 2 screws. See the one that goes into the bumper, one goes over here on the body. And that's what they look like when you're done. And if you're putting those screws in, go real slow because this stuff is brittle. It can pull, break. If you're using a power tool, use it in a very, very easy setting. So this is ready to be hooked up and wired. If these were 12-volt batteries, okay, so they were 12-volt batteries, all we would have had to have done was hook up that blue wire to a positive on a 12, well actually we'd have to hook it up on the 12-volt battery that's closest to this negative that we're going to plug into. But the reason we're using a reducer is because these are 8-volt batteries. So we can't get 12 volts from 2 8-volt batteries. We get 16 volts. The lights will work for a little while until they burn out because of too much voltage. So this is a rental cart. All we're ever going to put on this is headlights and taillights. So I'm going to put a real cheap 10 amp reducer on here. When I say reducer, it's a 48 volt to 12 volt reducer. So it'll distribute the load across the entire pack. So I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to wire a relay in front of it off of the key switch. So the key switch, when it comes on, will energize the relay, and then that's when we'll have lights. These are the same relays, the same 48 volt relays that we use in the, here they are, in the battery chargers. 48, that's what it looks like. Now, let me find a reducer. Okay, one of these 48 volt reducer. Cheap Chinese reducer. I don't know, they cost like 15 bucks. So I'm going to uncrate that stuff. Not too much longer. I wanted to show you, first of all, I mounted that little relay. See that little shelf there? I mount that there. Now I've got this reducer. I took it out of the box. Cheap little 48 to 12 volt 10 amp reducer. That's what it looks like. Now this we are going to mount flat. I'm going to put it right here, right underneath. Let me back up. And I'm going to put it, slide it as far as I can until it hits this bump right before it. And I'm going to put 2 screws and mount it right there, close to this relay. Once I get those 2 screws in, it's just a matter of hooking these wires up, which I'll show you, and then hopefully this thing works. So let's try it. Okay, now the fun part. Okay, I went ahead and wired this thing, made a diagram. Remember, I'm always pushing the diagrams. I'll try to get a close-up of this thing for you, but let me try to explain what I did. I've got all wired now. Remember, I mounted my relay here. I mounted the reducer there. So this is what I did. This blue is a factory stub. So what I did, I attached to that with the blue fused wire that came with the light kit. The other end of this, so it goes 48 volt positive. It runs to the relay, one of the sides of the relay, not the coil. Let me see. Main battery positive, top left hand of the diagram. Follow that wire, goes through that fuse and the blue wire to that bottom left hand tab on the relay. So that bottom left hand tab on the relay always has 48 volts on it as long as that toe switch is on. It's off right now because we did the wiring, but anytime that, the way this is wired, when that switch is on, there is a potential of 48 volt positive right there. But it doesn't go through to this red wire until the coil is energized on this relay. When it is energized, that 48 volt positive goes through the relay on that red wire, which is the 48 volt input to that reducer. Come back here, bottom right hand tab on the relay. See, it goes red to the reducer, 48 volt positive feed. Okay, so when that closes, it sends 48 volts to that reducer right there. That reducer came with 2 black wires hanging out of it, which were commons. So I tied those together. I tied those two blacks out of the reducer. Is tied right there to 2 more blacks. One of the blacks goes to the relay coil, top left. This is the relay coil. That black wire is the black wire in the drawing right here. The other black wire goes up, and I spliced off to another, see that 3-way? This 3-way? One black goes to and plugs into the bullet connector from the factory. And the other, that's that. And the other black wire goes to the bucket harness black. Remember the bucket harness had a blue and a black hanging out? Well, that black, which is the main common for the bucket harness, is this black right there. So all the commons are tied together. Okay? Now, the reducer, when it is energized, when the 48 volts goes through that, it spits out 12 volts on the yellow wire. Go back to our drawing. Reducer, yellow wire, 12 volt positive. I ran it through a fuse and then to the blue in the bucket harness, which is a 12 volt feed to the dash. So I've got all this just hanging down here so I can show you. That's the yellow coming off of the reducer, goes through this fuse, then it attaches to this blue wire. Okay, that's the bucket harness. Now, coming back, and we'll tie all this up when we're done. I'm just leaving it loose to show you. Lastly, remember that yellow wire we ran underneath the floor? Matter of fact, you can see it if I get down here. See that yellow wire that went under the floor, came up here from the key switch? Okay, that's right here, yellow wire to the key switch. That's our 48 volt positive from the key switch, which energizes this relay coil. So that coil will always be open until that key switch is turned on and the toe switch is turned on. So we're going to, for the first time, check this system out. I hope it works. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn the run toe switch back on. Now, that switch is on. Relay should still be open. Nothing should be working. If I turn the headlight switch on, we should not have anything unless I turn the key on. So far, so good. Now, let's turn the key on. See, the matter of fact, this one lights up. Cool. Okay, now, yeah, baby. We have got LED headlights. Tell me we got tail lights too. We've got tail lights. Oh yes. What about the other one? Oh yes. So everything is working. Yeah. Now, if I turn this off, the lights go off. That's pretty cool. The blue light means they're on. Look out their reflection. You can see them turning on and off. Okay, now let's do this. Let's turn them on. And if I turn the key switch off, watch. They go off. That's the way we want it. Yeah, baby. So we are looking good. I'm going to let you look at this drawing a little bit, I think. So I got to turn the camera this way, PJ said. There is the diagram. If you need help, email me or write in the comments down below, or if you want a copy of this diagram, I'll be glad to send you one. Our email is waynesgolfcarts@gmail.com. So that's it. I'm going to wrap this video up for wiring and installing lights on this club car Precedent. It was successful the way I like it. And hopefully you guys will subscribe to our channel down below. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you want to see a video on, and we'll do it. And also, if you're looking for parts and can't find them, let us know. We sell parts, or we got them. We're actually opening up an eBay store. But for right now, just wanted to let you see what's going on around here. So I'm going to close this up and move on to the next project. So thank you, and again, subscribe, leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up. See ya.